Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Money Loyalty Legacy. My name is Matt.
You're with your boy Ross, aka The Champ. Check it out. Today, our guest is back by popular demand. If you grew up in New York in the late 90s, 2000s, his name rang in the streets. A street pharmaceutical salesman to be an associate and crew member of the infamous Gambino Mafia crime family. He is no stranger to being dressed to the nines while keeping it real with his hip-hop swag, all while living life like a rock star. Let's welcome back Mr. Anthony Hootie Russo.
Oh,
Hey, you know?
I didn't know that. You didn't tell me you wrote that down when I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah,
That was pretty
man,
good.
you know?
I like that.
Try to get it, the swag thing.
Use
And
that as
everything
my
for you.
obituary.
There you go.
So you got a big announcement later on today.
Well, do I got a big announcement or do we got a big announcement?
Hey,
Which one could it be?
Well,
won both
they'll
of the
have to
other.
find out. They'll have to find out. But before we were starting, you had a fire story that you were going to present right away. Could you share that one with us?
So I don't think I ever told this one. There was it was actually mainly a banana bar, I think. It was called Glen Patrick's. It was on Crossway Boulevard, and it was kind of like the end of Ozone Park, almost towards the beginning of Howard Beach. And it was a big neighborhood place. A lot of banana guys hung out there, but it was just majority just a lot of just neighborhood young kids. And this was, it had to be the late 90s. And, I was trying to think of Ronnie one-arm stories where, he actually fought, not just knock guys out, because he had a killer punch. He just knocked guys out. He's a big guy. And he fought, whenever he had to, he fought all the time. So we're in Glen Patrick's, and the whole crew's in there. It's when I'm just hanging out with them a couple of years by now. The whole neighborhood is in there. But it's like one of those things where there's kids from all parts of the neighborhood there, and they don't really all know each other, which is like very weird to me. And like something like I try to do on social media. I don't like to beef with guys on social media. If there was things I didn't like, I step up, I say something. But like in the streets, I knew everybody in there. But like everybody in there didn't know each other because I did business with a lot of people. I like to hang out in different parts of the neighborhood. I played ball with all different, crews. And so I was more or less, I like to be known as a neighborhood guy. That's just how I was. And so there was a kid in there from Woodhaven, Ozone Park, redheaded, and his name was Danny. And his father was a Hell's Angel, just came home or he was coming home. And how this kid didn't know, he might have been the only person on the planet that didn't know who Ronnie One-Arm was. So they go to the bathroom, and two of the guys in our crew follow Ronnie to the bathroom. The place is packed. Why he was in there, I think he might have heard girls talking about it, because I think that was the first and last time he's ever been in there. And, it was young, too, back then. So when I found out that he was going there, it was, I just want to stay home and mind my business, because God only knows what's going to happen. Or, no, I want to go and want to see what's going to happen. What would he do in there? The place is jam-packed. Even if the bartender knows who he is, he's going to have to make way, because they're going to treat him like a rock star. He gets the world treatment. And if people do know who he is, he's the type of guy that walks into a bar, he's going to clear it out. People don't want to be in there. Don't know what this guy doing in there. He's ready here to clip somebody. And, he's with 5 or 6 guys. And back then, there was like 2 or 3 guys in that crew that could really get down. That, wind up eventually not hanging out with us anymore, moved on. But they got down. So the kid's in the bathroom. Ronnie goes in the bathroom. They're waiting for Ronnie by the door. The kid might have not been paying attention. He had no idea who Ronnie One-Arm was. On top of it, the kid's like 5'2". Ronnie's 6'6". So he goes to use the bathroom. Ronnie might have been a little drunk. He's off balance, with his arm. And he must have brushed the kid. Because the kid said, hearing it from the other 2 guys, they were like, this kid was an idiot. And then, they told me what happened in the bathroom. So, and he goes, well, why don't you watch where you're going? He tells Ronnie. And Ronnie was tuned up, so he didn't really take it as a disrespect. And he was like, all right, yeah. And the kid was like, you didn't hear me? And then, like, they didn't react because they were so taken back by how this kid was talking to him. And he looked like a redheaded stepchild, right? So they said they just couldn't wait anymore. All you seen was water, I seen, coming from the bathroom floor, out of the bathroom onto the floor. They were hitting this kid with the sink. They ripped the sink off the wall. They hit him with everything. And he was a little juice head. So he was like a little Mighty Mouse. Like he was making it through. And as I guess everybody else knew who Ronnie was, So when the door opens and I can see Ronnie's in a suit, he's slipping all over the place. And he only got one arm. And he's trying to, like, hit the kid. And it's not funny, but it looked like a comedy skit. Slip this way, slip that way. But then the other two guys were big guys. And, so they're not fast, but powerful and know how to fight. And they're hitting them with everything. And they're slipping. But he's small and, juiced up. So he's like sliding the right way, like but getting hit with everything. They dropped the sink on him. He got up. Water's everywhere. So on the way out the door, everybody in the crowd hit him as he goes out the door.
How many
His
guys?
own friends didn't help him. So as he's trying to make it to the door, it's about 30 feet. Everybody in the place took a shot at this kid. It was like, I'm like, I felt like I was in a movie. I'm like, is this really what's going on right now?
Did you hit him?
No, I was on the other side. I didn't know it was him. I had no idea it was him. They were hitting him all over the place from every angle. When they got outside, I knew the kids that he was with because they were from 88 Park. They were the younger kid. So when I seen them, he was bloodied. He was all banged up, but he was okay. But what went on inside was like one of the first times that like I seen Ronnie trying to throw down, but throwing more than one punch, but like really couldn't connect because he was slipping all over the place. So, and I'm like, did I really come out on this night? Like, it was all, I don't know, surreal. Like, and then you see like all the kids in the neighborhood, these young kids, would just letting it, like haymakers at this kid. Just not even ask what happened or why they're doing it. They just knew that Ronnie was trying to hit that kid, so the whole neighborhood wanted to hit him.
Did the kid run out? I mean, you said he was standing
He made it out the door.
Did he just cruise out?
And they were standing on a corner waiting for him, the kids that he came with. And he's like, how'd you just leave me in there? Did you see what happened? And they were like, are you crazy? And the kids they were pretty tough kids. They were like, anybody else in the whole place, you picked on one of the bosses in the Gambino crime family. He's like, like I can see him shrugging, but I don't know what he's saying because I'm across the street. So I want to know what he says afterwards. And after he leaves, they said he kind of like stuttered, was taken back that he just got into a fight with, a guy from the Gambino crime family. And then in the next breath was, I don't give a fuck, my father's a Hell's Angel, he'll kill him. And he ran off. And I was like, and they're like, he's just a fucking idiot. So the next day, this is the funny part of the story. He goes to my friend Louis T, who I worked for in the arcade, because I guess like they weren't friends or nothing, but he must have put two and two together. Louis maybe's a knockaround guy, and he can get word. So Louis meets him. So he's thinking he wants to apologize, or should he go on the lam, or this or that. You know what the kid says? You think I should go find him and fight him again? This is how burnt out this kid was.
Was he a rockhead?
Yeah, he was a big juice head. He was all fucked up from the steroids. He's like, when my father finds out about this guy's gonna have a big problem. My father's a Hell's Angel. Like, and the way Louis telling me the story, he's like, I just couldn't believe what was coming out. Like, I didn't have an answer. Like, I didn't even know what to say. What was coming out of this kid's mouth. Like, the two guys alone on a regular ground would have put him in the ground. And then Ronnie, and then the whole place. Then your own friends who you go out and fight with every weekend got the fuck out of there because they knew better. And you're coming here like you're gonna do something. Like, what'd you take this morning? Like, how much? Like,
right?
Like steroids or whatever. He's like, what the fuck is wrong? And he's like, nah. He goes, wait, where do you think I can find this guy? Like, he was gonna go try to fight this guy, and then he went into, my father's gonna find out about this, and he's a Hell's Angel, and then he'll be in trouble. And it's like, and this is like 1998, 99, like the mob was still going. You know what I mean? It's like, and Ronnie was a guy who didn't play around, so it's like, what the and it's like the weirdest fucking story. And if I didn't witness it, I would have thought somebody would come and tell me a story to break my balls.
What came of it? Did the Hells Angels ever come about?
Nothing ever came of it.
Yeah.
The kid wound up getting beat up in like 3 different bars after that.
He still kept hanging
Kept
around?
going out and causing trouble. You know what I mean? In like Woodhaven area, there wasn't no really mob guys or anything in those bars. Lunatics and tough guys, but not mob guys,
How did he not get knocked out? Because people are going to hear this story and they're going to think,
have no
how many
idea.
guys are we talking about? Like, this guy's going through a sea people. So give like 15 guys. Less
No,
than
well,
that.
I think the worst of it was in the bathroom because they hit him with, he was bleeding from everywhere. He had scars everywhere. But when there was about 50 people. There was like 20, the place was jam-packed.
Yeah.
But when there's so many people trying to hit you, you'll maybe get 1 or 2. And he was quick. He was all steroided up. Who knows? He probably felt it for the next week after that.
Yeah.
Because I remember seeing him, and he had bandages all over his head. So I know when they hit him with the sing, I know they gave it to him good inside the bathroom.
Like, how did that not knock? Like a
I
thick.
have no idea.
This is a thick sink. This isn't like a little one.
Ceramic with all those things.
They just ripped it out of the wall, or
right
how
out
did
of the
they?
wall, and just put it over his coconut.
Now, how big were the other two guys that like say
About my height and solid. Yeah,
Okay.
they were 2 tough guys.
Yeah.
They're known for knocking guys out.
So was he in there still trying to fist fight, or did he kind of realize, shit, I'm trying to get out, but he couldn't
was
get
trying
out?
to get out.
He's just slipping around.
Yeah,
and just like
he was like, but like going with it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because when I seen him, it looked like he was the only one that knew what he was doing.
yeah, it's almost
And,
like
and bleeding all over the place. You know what I mean? But he knew, and then when he got there, if somebody might have grabbed him and pulled him back in, then he would have been
screwed. Yeah.
Because then there would just been like 50 guys stomping on his head.
killed him. You think?
Nah,
just
just would have been a coma.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
who knows? All the time he was on all types of drugs.
Right.
There, so
He's lucky
Who
nobody
knows?
pulled out like a knife or anything like that.
You know what I did like? The next, what was it, like 3-4 days later, we were all sitting around in Aldo's, and it got brought up, and usually it's go find that guy, bring him to me, and it was whatever. And Ronnie was like, whatever, I don't give a fuck, that fucking sink put over his fucking head. He was a fucking imbecile. It was like, his thing was, if you were disrespectful and you knew who you were talking to, that's when he would come after you. But if you were just a fucking idiot that didn't know any better, because there was another time there was a fight that I was involved in with that, and the guy was with the Luchese family, and how this guy didn't know who Ronnie was blew my mind, because Ronnie grew up with the guy's father, knew his brothers, and everything else, and he was just, and he gave him we gave him a good beating, but so once the captain and the Luchese family called for him, sent Ronnie a message, Ronnie just sent back, oh, it's over, I don't care. Because the guy didn't know any better. And he was fucking disrespectful. But he was that much of an idiot because he was the toughest guy in the world. And after he got cracked around, smashed in, it was in a nail salon. Somebody told him that you don't talk to Ronnie one-on like that, and his eyes lit up. I was standing right. He was like, I had no fucking idea. I never met. He just turned in. He was the biggest tough guy in the world, and he was supposed to be a tough guy. He was a big drug dealer, and he turned into a puppy dog when he heard it was. I think a woman said it, or somebody said it, and once he realized who it was that he was speaking to, he was bleeding from his lip, his mouth. He turned into a puppy dog. So I seen that. and they seen that too. So you couldn't fake that. You don't go from being a tough guy while you're bleeding, and then all of a sudden hear a name and become a puppy dog. You know what I mean? So
Right.
like, it was forgotten about after that. Like, it was just like, yeah, well, that guy was a imbecile.
Let's clear up, just in case this is the first time people have seen you before. Let's clear up who Ronnie was, who he was to you, just real quick, if nobody's seen you before.
Ronnie is Ronnie One-Arm Trucchio. He was a Gambino captain in the Gambino crime family. Probably one of the most powerful captains in New York City out of any crime family at the time. He's serving life in prison right now. He probably went one of the largest, most successful money-making crews around. He's been around, I couldn't tell you, since the 70s. He's been in the streets his whole life. He got hit by a car when he was younger, and it fucked up his arm. So his arm never healed. So it was like a dead arm. So that's where he got the nickname Ronnie One Arm. And that when he was a kid. So he went through his life during the toughest parts of New York City, the era, from East New York into Ozone Park, and still came out a maniac, a tough guy, and most respected with one arm. And yeah, he was a fearsome guy. He survived 150 plus stabs to his body. They tried to rob a bar he was in. They did rob the bar he was in, two Hispanic guys, and they stabbed him over 150 times, and he survived. He crawled out of the bar. There was a gun somewhere hidden in the bar. Got the gun, crawled out of the bar, and he was able to he killed one of them. The other one got away.
He shot him, right?
I don't know if they ever caught up with the other one. I think they did, but yeah, he was the epitome of a gangster. He was a gangster, and I probably would have stood in the streets earning and maybe working a job and still hustling, but I wanted to be around him. And since I could walk, I seen him walking up and down 101st Avenue when I was a kid, and the power and the fear that he put in people. I just said that's the guy I wanted to be around. And that's who he was. And he was well known.
Ronnie, you said, was a tough guy, obviously,
Yeah.
right? Can you describe the scenario like that played out when you see Ronnie about to get into a violent altercation? Can you describe his demeanor, describe the buildup, and then does he swing first or?
There was, again, like, I try to always compare of the stories, because everybody's always on the outside looking in. And then those are the stories you hear. And then when you're on the inside, you find out that that's not the case whatsoever. So Ronnie was a big drinker. And, people say drugs too. I was around the guy partying, going on. I never seen him do one drug. But he liked to drink. So they used to say there'd become a certain time of the night, Ronnie would get tuned up. His eyes would go a certain way. And then whoever was around that might have did something wrong to him an hour ago or 3 months ago was getting knocked out. He swung first. He was going to wreck the bar. And that was his reputation. Don't bother him. Don't go near him. He never smiled. He wasn't a guy who smiled. And, yeah, he was always ready for a fight. And he had that knockout punch. That one, he was a monster.
So he had that
he was
strength.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So now I'm hanging out with him when he's drinking. Come to find out, being stabbed that many times in life, he couldn't see. And when he got drunk, he's seen even less. So it was him squinting, or people thought that he got like all buggy and his eyes went crazy. No, he couldn't see. So he's squinting to see who's in the bar, who's left in the bar. Is the guy still in there that he's looking to crack his head open? Is the girl in there he's still looking to fuck? That's what he was doing. So for years, I'm hearing all these guys tell stories that his eyes would start going twitchy. He's out of his fucking mind. And then he just find the target and it was over. And it wasn't that. He's looking for whoever bumped into him earlier that night, whoever owed him money, whoever shouldn't have been at the bar at that time, or he's looking to grab what every girl he's looking to grab to take home. You know what I mean? So like you hear those stories, and it's like, no, he gets tuned up, and he's ready to go. But he never looked like he was having a good time. He never looked like he was in a good mood, and he never smiled. And this could be 3:00 in the afternoon on Tuesday. Just that's how he always looked. It's just that when he got tuned up and his eyesight got worse, it was, all right, who's in here that I've been looking for the last 3 months who's been ducking me, or you know what I mean? And he was always ready to get down. There's a story. Now this is me telling it secondhand. I don't usually like to tell stories that I wasn't there for or involved in, but this was very well known. They were having a meeting. This is when he was straightened out and Skinny Dom was his captain. There was a bar called Characters, and the guy that used to drive for Ronnie owned that bar, or family owned that bar. So they set up a meeting, and it was on Crossway Boulevard. And it was Skinny Dom, Ronnie One Arm, and Vinnie Asaro. So it must have been some kind of Gambino Banana neighborhood, because that's most of the time it was either Vinnie or Ronnie, in Ozone Park and Howard Beach. That was, they were the two with the most power. Columbo's Luchese didn't really hold that much power in Ozone Park and Howard Beach. So they're in the bar, and whatever they're having a sit down about or a talk about between them, and they never got along. One, Skinny Dom is always, I don't even like to say his name. That guy is one of the grouchiest guys that you've ever met. Never in a good mood. Was always yelling at somebody. Again, Ronnie, you never seen him in a good mood. And Vinnie and Sarah hated everybody. So this is like...
This is just a mixed pot of just ready to blow.
This is a disaster, right, waiting to happen. And there's some guys in the back. And then Ronnie's driver was there as well, whose family owned the bar. And then there's a bunch of guys in the back shooting pool, acting rowdy. And now, I think they were from Rockaway, because, it's the connection. A bunch of Irish guys, if I'm not mistaken. And acting rowdy. There was a lot of them, more than what they had. And these are older gentlemen. They're not, no spring chickens. Ronnie might have been the youngest. So, how don't you know who one of these guys are? Nevertheless, all of them, right? It's like, does everybody else live in the bubble, or do we live in the bubble? Like, I never understood it. Because, like, when I left the life, meaning that I didn't want to live like that anymore, so I didn't pay attention to who's the upcoming Mafia guy, didn't live by the laws, didn't shop at the bait, just, like, leaving that life in general, not just, not talking about the Mafia, just living that kind of life. Like, certain neighborhoods just still live that kind of life, even if you're not in the Mafia. Like, so is it they're living in the bubble, or are they living, like, it's hard to understand, because I had no idea when I left that bubble what the fuck everybody else was talking about and doing. Like, I felt like I had comprehension problems, but not reading, listening to somebody. Like, I needed somebody to explain to me what that person was saying. In a lot of conversations that I had with people, it's like, what do you, and it's not like an educated conversation. It's just like, where did you even learn to talk like that? Like, who even understands you? I couldn't. And there was a lot of people like that. I was talking to a CEO once, and I was like, do you have an assistant that can explain to me what you just said? Like, very, very weird. So I never understood who lived in the bubble. Was it us or was it them? So they had no idea who they were. Right away, somebody bumps into Vinnie going to the bathroom. Vinnie is ready to fight at 80, 90 years old. Didn't matter. He gets into with one of them. So Characters was in a parking lot, like a mini mall, but maybe there was like one other store in that parking lot. So it was like a long parking lot where like cars would park, but there was nobody there. And they said, let's take it outside, Vinnie said. So you got Vinnie, captain in the Banana family, Ronnie, main guy in the Gambino family, Skinny Dom, captain in the Gambino family, like the most powerful guys in like the 5 boroughs, go out into the parking lot to fight these 6 or 7 young guys.
Vinnie Asaro is old, right?
Yeah, he's old.
How old is he at this point?
Maybe in his 60s.
Okay, so we're dealing with like an older man.
Yeah,
like,
so you're talking about, it was in the 90s.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
like 30 years ago. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So what was Ronnie in his 50s, maybe 50 or 40, late 40s, whatever it was. And probably Skinny Dom's maybe a few years in between. He always looked old anyway. And then Ronnie's driver. We're in the parking lot. Now, this is Cross Street Boulevard. So if anybody drives by and sees one of these guys fight, they're going to pull over and be like, are you fucking nuts? And you got these 3 old guys fighting these 6, 7 young guys in the parking lot of a bar at like 8 o'clock at night, like it's a fucking Sunday afternoon movie. Because a couple people did drive by. So I heard the story from a few different people. One guy got out, a girl drove by, stopped, witnessed it. I heard the story from that. Because who's rolling on the floor, you would never see these guys. Like, I would pay to see a video of guys in that position, those guys rolling around with 6 or 7 young guys.
Right.
You know what I mean? But again, these were guys that didn't know any better. But you're talking about in Howard Beach. Like, somebody's got to know. Or you got to say to yourself, what are 3 old guys doing in an empty bar? And they're with the guy behind the bar, is with them. There's got to be somebody.
There's no connection these putting together.
No what?
They're not putting a connection together.
Yeah, but you're in Howard Beach. You got to put something together.
Yeah, no, I know.
One of these guys is somebody.
They're dressed to the nines, right? They're in suits.
They're always in suits at night.
Right. So doesn't that stand out to them? Like if they're wearing like these expensive suits, the gold watches, that like you'd think like if Ross and I saw that, you saw 3 old men?
I'm not gonna fight old men first.
No, I know, but I'm just saying.
Like they were probably our ages now.
It's a mob neighborhood.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or my age now. You know.
Yeah.
No, but I don't think Skinny Dom dressed up a lot. Vinnie did. I don't know if that was, but Ronnie was one of those guys. During the day he wore a sweatsuit, and at night he wore dress clothes.
They looked the part, though. You know what I mean?
That's my point.
Yeah.
But not even looking the part. You're in Howard Beach in the 90s.
Right.
Who else is going to be in a bar in Howard Beach but a connected guy, a knockaround guy?
Right.
Maybe a what? At minimum, an associate. You know what I mean?
So
you're not in Richmond Hill. You're in Howard Beach.
So they're out there fist fighting, brawling?
Fist fight, rolling around on the asphalt in the parking lot, everything. This went on until a few people stopped, helped them, got them up, boom, and then the cops came.
Helped who?
Ronnie and yeah, they knew who they. You know, people drive by and you see. You got to take a double look and stop. You go, wait a second, is that Ronnie one of them rolling around with 2 guys in a headlock? You know what I mean? Like whatever. You know, you just got to be. You know, you expect that from Vinnie. Vinnie used to fight all the time. The guy was nuts. You know, to the park and he's playing racquetball, and within the first couple points of the game, he's hitting somebody over the head with the racket.
Are you just nuts? No, you're just like at this point, like if I already know that, and you know, there's a lot of tough guys everywhere. You know, I'm not saying like whatever, but why am I putting myself into position to get hit in the head with a racket? I'll just say I'm done for the day.
I never understood. But those are the guys that answer back. I'm like, he's going to hit you over the head with something. Why don't you just let him win the conversation?
Yeah.
I never understand that about people. Why are you egging a guy on that you're not going to fight, you're not going to hit back, and he's going to hit you in the head with a pool stick if we're in a club or whatever we're in? It's like, and guys just love punishment.
What happened with that when the fight? People came and helped Ronnie and Vinnie.
Nothing. That was it. Nothing really happened.
I would think like this. People are hearing this and they're thinking these 2 of the most powerful captains at the time, right? You would be thinking that these guys would be running back wherever and calling up their guys to go kill these young guys that they just got to fight with because they felt the disrespect. Because you can't put your hands on a made guy, right?
If you know he's a made guy. You know what I mean? And they took it as like, because now I'm hearing about it afterwards, they felt like young guys, like it was a ballroom brawl. No, I'm sure if somebody got hurt, I don't know how Skinny Dom took it, but I knew how Vinnie and Ronnie took it because I heard their side. I was never privy to a private conversation with Skinny Dom.
Yeah.
But that's like Ronnie, I've seen him do that a dozen times. If a guy was disrespectful and the guy knew who he was being disrespectful to, the end of the earth you couldn't go to get Ronnie to stop chasing you.
You go to prison and you think that your people would have your back. No, they don't have your back. Instead, my mother's paying for my commissary money. How the is that? I'm supposed to be happy about this right now? I'm supposed to be coming home jolly? Really? I'm sitting in prison, I can't get $1 from them? I'm blowing up cop cars, doing all this shit. for them and I get nothing out of this. What I get out of this? A reputation? What the good did that do me? I come home, I got clowns I'm answering to now, which I'll never respect or fucking recognize. They can send me all they want, but thanks a lot, I ain't going. So put a hit on me. You ain't killing anyway.